Welcome to the KochaSoft webinar, Integrating SAP Analytics with BigQuery. All right, so if your organization deals with data, you've probably experienced the limitations of traditional analytics platforms. Not very long ago, business reporting tools were not extremely robust and data warehouses were generally inflexible. They did not make it easy to add tools or workflows to face new challenges. Those that are still in use cannot combine diverse data types and handle multiple data sources, which makes data analysis, reporting, and visualization very time consuming. Furthermore, being stage data, it cannot help you to forecast or predict business trends in real time or take into considerations all of the different data assets that your company has. New tools have been developed to help businesses cope with their changing needs, but those tools have also come with additional challenges. While the cost of storing and processing data has come down, the complexities involved have increased exponentially. In this cloud centric world, security is a greater concern than ever. Data governance and management have taken on a whole new meaning and importance. And the old challenges actually haven't really gone away. Underusing data still means that you're missing out on crucial information, and that means losing opportunities, revenues, and potential customers. Organizations still need the right data at the right time, in the right place, and in the right format, in real time and consistently being a common platform. So let's go ahead and take a look at today's agenda. So first, we're going to give you a quick overview of who we are. We'll go over some of the things that we've accomplished, talk a little bit about ourselves. Um, then we'll go into a series of questions. We've actually worked with several customers that we've brought on from an analytics standpoint, and we've noticed that there's kind of a common theme. There's a common set of questions that they all really kind of bring and are looking for solutions for. So we're going to review some of those common questions and use that as a starting point. Then from there, we'll go into BigQuery. We'll talk about Google's BigQuery. We'll look specifically at the different features and advantages. We have a couple of case studies that we're going to review with you today, right? We'll give you the whole business requirements, and then we'll talk about the different solutions and how we were able to leverage cloud and BigQuery and a number of different tools to accomplish what the customers were looking for. All right. So just real quick, there are some others that have joined me today. You can see them on the video. This is the KochaSoft team that will be presenting today. So again, my name is Lawrence Spoladoro. I'm the Director of IT Operations here at KochaSoft. And my primary role really is to make sure that we are bringing the right solution to our customers. We have a lot of customers that come with us. They have a lot of different challenges, a lot of different, hopes of what they would like to accomplish. And it becomes kind of a puzzle where you have to put all of these together. So that's really my responsibility, is to make sure that all of these pieces come together and that we deliver exactly what the client is looking for, making sure that they're happy with the solution. With that, I'd like to introduce our partner manager, Aaron. Aaron,
Good
if you could
morning.
give us. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Lawrence. Good morning. I'm one of the partner managers, works closely with Google and our customers. My role as a partner manager is to ensure my customers get the most value out of the Google technologies. Sharat?
Hi everybody, I am Sarat Devkania. I am one of the lead analytics architect at the KochaSoft. I have extensive SAP analytics knowledge and experience, and currently I am helping our customer to succeed on SAP analytics on the Google Cloud platform. Back to Lawrence.
Yes, thank you, Sharon. Thank you, Aaron. Sorry, I must have left my video out, so now hopefully you guys can see me as well. All right, so let's talk real quick about who we are. KochaSoft is a consulting company specifically focusing on SAP and more specifically as it applies to the public cloud. Our company was founded by platinum SAP consultants that brought focus not only on the SAP in the cloud, but also from an analytics standpoint. Our consulting division serves many customers that are running on both the Google Cloud Platform as well as the Microsoft Azure public cloud. We've helped several customers deploy specifically SAP on Google, including integrating that with their analytics solution. We also offer SAP basis managed services through our 24/7 follow the sun support model, as we have offices and consultants spread out across the world. Currently, we're located in the United States, in Canada, Chile, the Middle East, India, and Sri Lanka. Our relationship with Google and Microsoft runs deep, as we are also the exclusive training partners as it applies to SAP running either on the Google Cloud Platform or the Microsoft Azure platform. We actually regularly offer bootcamp sessions for professionals that are looking to increase their SAP knowledge in the cloud. I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Aaron, who will discuss the challenges our customers are facing. And again, thank you for all joining here. Please, again, if you have any questions, go ahead and put those into the chat and we'll answer those as we go along. So, Aaron?
Lawrence, thank you. Recently, one of my customers, in fact, the CFO, asked me how to get the employee overtime cost. While this information is very basic, the challenge is significant for them especially with the economic condition. They were trying to do cost containment. A simple requirement as getting an employee overtime cost shouldn't be that problem. But unfortunately for this customer, they have three different source systems to go for. SuccessFactor, S/4HANA Finance, and ECC with HR payroll. So all this information is fragmented and siloed into three different SAP solutions. Because of that, they were struggling to put this information together. At the moment, their data warehouse was not secure enough to bring a sensitive data as payroll data and the PII data into that data warehouse. Additionally, if they really wanted to build their own data warehouse just for the HR, the return on investment is too high. With this background information in mind, customers all over are facing business challenges like this due to siloed data, cost, security, and the complex data visualization. Daily, we meet customers who are challenged with business problems that can't be resolved by using traditional enterprise data warehouse and data warehouse for the same reasons. We believe the BigQuery can be the solution for those customers who are looking for a solution which is agile and cost effective. This slide will give you a high level overview of BigQuery. In fact, this is not a BigQuery session. It's truly a BigQuery data warehouse for SAP session. But if you are interested to know more about BigQuery, there are a lot of online content available. The YouTube videos are available on how to best architect a BigQuery data warehouse solution. I would highly recommend you to look through it. Just to highlight a few points, BigQuery is a fully managed enterprise level data warehouse. BigQuery is Google Cloud Platform's interactive big data services. You can analyze terabyte of data in a matter of seconds using SQL-like queries. In fact, BigQuery forms the data warehouse backbone for modern BI solutions and enables seamless data integration, transformation, analysis, and visualization. With the serverless technology for the BigQuery, Google does all resource provisioning behind the scenes, so we can focus on data and analysis, not worry about the upgrading, securing, or managing the infrastructure, because we use the BigQuery as pay as you go. And also BigQuery provides highly durable replicated storage in multiple locations because of that HA, with no extra cost or no additional setup fee required for customers to run a data warehouse. Just to give you an example from a storage cost perspective, it's about a cent to store a gigabyte of data in BigQuery per month. And on the processing side, which is the data scanning side, it's about $5 a terabyte. So if you're scanning a terabyte of data, you're probably paying $5. There are various ways to do a cost containment. You can work with the Google and find out how best to contain the cost. And finally, just to wrap up, just to give you a wrap up as a BigQuery ML is another a key functionality. A lot of our customers are trying to adapt. BigQuery is the data warehouse. Let's go to the next one. BigQuery is part of Google Cloud's comprehensive data analytics platform that covers the analytics value chain from ingest, process, store, and advanced analytics and collaboration. So BigQuery is deeply integrated with the GCP. Very often what happens with at least our SAP customers, when we talk about Google Cloud Platform, they look at the Google Cloud Platform as a hosting environment to run SAP workloads. But truly, if they look at the other benefits of Google Cloud Platform, such as the BigQuery capabilities, that's our job to make sure that customer understand the added value of using a Google Cloud Platform. When you have I see many of you are coming from consulting background or working for consulting companies. When you have a conversation with your customers, it is also important for you to convey that GCP is a platform that has a complete tool set to build a complete data warehouse as a BigQuery as a backbone. Just to summarize on the BigQuery, what we discussed so far, BigQuery is a storage and data analytics platform which provide consistency and reliability of data. It enables users to see relevant data and information, of course, with the right data model. So that's a key here, right? So when you're building a data model, especially for the SAP, you want to build the efficient data model. And with that, you can access the data in a fraction of time. Now we kind of high level covered what is BigQuery and the use case of BigQuery. Let's talk about how the BigQuery can be used as an SAP data warehouse. Before we dive deeper into this slide, one of the key SAP analytic principles at KochaSoft that we encourage our customers is to take advantage of embedded analytics. This is an out-of-the-box solution. It's also a value proposition that SAP bring in as part of the S/4HANA that we encourage the customers to adapt first before they even consider any data warehouses, because it's free of cost. And as they add the data to the S/4HANA, as they do functional configuration, they can use the embedded analytics with no cost to them. The time to value also very short for our customers. And we have 3 customers that they are very happy with that solution. And also on the BigQuery, there are a lot of documents today available as a reference architecture perspective, how best to build a data warehouse. But however, when we started this practice, the data warehouse for BigQuery data warehouse for SAP, when we started our practice a few years back, there was no document available. Even now, you may not be able to find a fully baked document on how best to architect a solution, SAP data warehouse on BigQuery. What we did was, we're going to share how we approached this. What we did was, we adapted our previous experience in building data warehouse solution for SAP. Many of us on this call and within our company, at some point in time, we worked on the SAP HANA as a data warehouse. We worked on Teradata. We worked on SQL Server as a data warehouse. Hadoop we worked on, and the SAP BW to build a data model for SAP. So we brought that knowledge base. And then also, as you know, the BigQuery principles and capabilities are vastly different from the technologies that I mentioned. Because of that, what we did, we also engaged the Google engineers who understand the BigQuery really well. We continuously talk to them. We continuously understand how this engine works behind the scene, what are the design principles they would apply in a generic form. We brought those design principles, we brought our previous expertise, and we built the data models together. I'm going to touch upon some of the best practices that we formulated as part of this, and some of it through as we build on it, as we learn on it, and we tweaked it. But we are happy to share that as part of this session today. So in the next few slides, I'll walk you through some use cases where we implemented BigQuery for SAP Data Warehouse solution. We believe this is the best way to convey the power of the BigQuery and the data warehouse for SAP. Before I get into the details, I want to clarify that the information presented in these case studies are information based on our own experience and expertise. These are no way represents Google's position or SAP's positions. These are just an experience that we at KochaSoft formed. If you can take some of the ideas and implement it yourself, but this does not represent Google's vision. So let's take a look at the first case study. This is an automotive customer who we helped to implement S/4HANA on the cloud. And fortunately, 80% of their data, it's on S4HANA. It's one of their business divisions where they adapted this S4HANA. So most of the data already contained in 80%. Going back to our original principle, we encourage the customer to use embedded analytics. That was our default data analytics solution for them. So we turned that on as part when we set up the S4HANA to them. We turn on the embedded analytics, turn on all the Fiori components and the underlying data models for them. So they, from the day one itself, they started using it as they were configuring the system. However, the remaining 20% of the data outside of that SAP is a manufacturing data, MIS data. And the customer did not want to spend too much money to build a standalone data warehouse because most of the data is already in one single system. So there's no reason for them to spend money. However, what they did is they needed this data warehouse to do some predictive maintenance. And they were thinking as one option to bring that 20% of data into the S4HANA, which did not, from a cost wise, from a return on investment wise, and also impact to an operational system, they did not want to do that. So we worked with the customer, we evaluated different option. Finally, we decided to go with the BigQuery for a number of reasons. It's a flexibility, the cost, and the capability that BigQuery provided. So this customer is more of a process manufacturing company, and their factories run 24/7. Even the COVID-19 time, they could not shut off. If they do, it will cost them millions of dollars to restart the factory. So they imagine the predictive maintenance. It's an absolutely critical component for them. They have to be proactively maintaining the equipment to make sure that there's no breakdown. So that's where they wanted to use this data warehouse. So let's talk on the architecture. I just gave you the background. Let's talk on the architecture. So what we did is, instead of building our own extractors and own delta tables, what we sought for the standard extractors. We looked for standard extractors that are needed for this customer, the data warehouse. And we also used the ODP, the built-in ODP component, to manage the delta capability. And we only brought just needed data. I know in SAP, very often what happens is bring everything into the data warehouse, but we did not do that here. We said we want to bring just enough data on your data warehouse, and then as you need it, we can build on it more in the future. But for now, let's bring only just enough data into that. So we use a special tool that we built for this kind of a data warehouse. This tool can connect to tables, CDS views, standard extractors, use the existing Delta mechanism and non-SAP platform. And it runs on the cloud, so it's a cloud-based tool. We use it. And we connected this tool to bring the data. And the hidden capability of our tool is it has a built-in turbo function. What it does is it accelerates the data gathering and then pull the data and then send the bigger packets back into it. So the impact to the source system and the time it spends to collect the data, it's minuscule. As a best practice, we state the data into a cloud store. So when we pull the data, we brought that into the cloud store. That's our storage layer. We kept the data as it is in the cloud store before we move the data into the BigQuery, into staging area. So if you go back to our old design principles in the BW days, we call it corporate memory, if you remember that. That's what we built here, where we extract once, consume many. So we don't go back to the source system and pull the data often enough. We just pull once and store the data as it is, and then as we need it, we apply to it. From BigQuery staging, we move the delta data, where when we were moving in the final reporting tables, what we did when we were moving the delta data and when we were merging the delta, we also applied the non-SAP data, the 20% of the data, to enrich the data set. In fact, we used a predictive analytics. Truly, our goal was to bring the data, harmonize it, and then share the data to the visualization layer. It's up to the end users of the customers to visualize, create the visualization, apply the ML capability and all of that. We empowered the business users to consume the data. So that reduced our total cost of ownership from an IT perspective. We were not building pre-built content and pre-built data set to the business. We let them experience it. as they wish, as their business requirement changed. And of course, for this customer, we also use the Data Studio as another design principle within KochaSoft. We always use Data Studio for data analysis, data reconciliation, data validation, things like that. And then we also, this customer, specific customer, they use Tableau for data visualization. Because the finance team was already using the Tableau, so it made sense for them to connect the Tableau and use it. Obviously, you could use Power BI, Click, Looker as a native to on top of the BigQueries, but in this case, it was a Tableau. So let's go to the next case study. This is our second case study, and it's a very interesting use case. If you notice that while the previous use case was an automotive customer who had the small set of data to deal with the enterprise data warehouse, and they didn't want to build the full-fledged EDW. But in this use case, the customer had the vast amount of data, 25 terabyte of SAP data. In SAP speak, it is a big set. In a Google BigQuery speak, it's minuscule size. So for this customer, what happened is they've been running SAP since 90s. There are many SAP systems and many data warehouse, and all the data is highly siloed into different data warehouses. The customer had a very mature data warehouse across the board. They also had IT personnel. However, their platform wasn't able to support a large volume of data to gather a meaningful information because they were already siloed, their own data warehouses going on. And anytime they want to put that together, it has to be summarized data. When the customer came to us, approached us, they already decided to go with the BigQuery. In fact, the entire platform is going to be a Google Cloud platform. So the BigQuery is going to be their, the data exploration technology in this case. So let me go to the architecture, and I'll bring you a little more context to it. Here's a detailed diagram. It's more complex than what you saw earlier, right? Again, when we do a data warehouse, we do not start the complexity. We start with the simplicity, a data staging environment and the BigQuery. If we can deal with those two components, we are done with the data warehouse. We really don't expand on it unless the requirement is such that it requires additional components to bring it in. I'll break it down in this. Due to security and various team dynamics, and you can understand in a complex environment, our customer did not want to use any ETL tool. They said, do not connect to our source systems. What we are going to do is, we are going to dump the data to you in a centralized repository, and you can pull those data into the BigQuery. So daily, we took the file data, and then we ingested them into the cloud store, and it staged daily. Depending on the source system type and the data characteristics, whether it's a delta or full load, we determine where this should be stored. So you can see a different components on the data store that we are using to store the data. Then what we did from there is we used different cloud functionality to harmonize and transform the data within the data preparation layer. This is why you need an experienced team who understand the different components of GCP and how they can be applied the best. Because just having a BigQuery alone is not going to help you build a full-fledged, complex EDW. One thing we would like to point out is that the harmonization of the entire data set, the 25 terabyte of data set, can be completed in 20 minutes. But when I say that, it's a refactoring of a data. Example, let's say you have this historical data that comes into the, we are staging through and we are going to the reporting layer, and all of a sudden the business requirement changed, the business model has changed, and the customer needs to refactor the data. Imagine in an old classic data warehouse, it will take weeks, months, a project in itself. But within BigQuery, 25 terabyte of data is nothing. We can quickly change the data model and rerun it. But we chose to harmonize the data, only the delta records. Again, going back to our design principle. Even though BigQuery had the power to recalibrate all these data on the fly on a daily basis, but we did not choose to do it. We only focus on the delta, but we educated our customer to have to show them a power of the BigQuery and the entire EDW platform. The entire operation enabled the customers to set different business rules on demand, and they were able to run these different delta sets to pick up the data itself. Essentially, one thing I would say from this use case perspective, what we understood is the BigQuery-based data warehouse is a thriving and evolving data platform. You are not putting them in a box and saying this is it. Rather, you are putting the data in such a way that enables the business to manipulate the data as the business changes. We don't know what's going to happen in 2 months down the road, what the business requirement is. So because of that, we kept the data as a pristine form as possible and let the business consume it as they wish. So this use case, I skipped that. This use case was is that customer wanted to see the total spend analytics on the vendors. So what happened is the same vendor was serving multiple business units and they were siloed into multiple environment. So there's no way that the customer could collect the data to see a single vendor, how much they are spending on the single vendor to look for volume discount. They couldn't do that. And BigQuery, they were able to do it because they brought all the data into one single platform and they were able to analyze on the fly. So that's the use case for this customer. Siloed data on a specific vendor that prevented them from getting a volume discount. Now bringing the data together, they were able to see the total spend on a specific vendor and they were able to go after them. So let's talk about the final use case. In fact, this is our first data warehouse solution. This is what triggered us into this BigQuery-based data warehouse solution for SAP. The customer initially approached us with BigQuery as a data aging platform. What happened was the customer was running point of sales data on HANA, extremely happy with the HANA performance, the data models and everything. And they had a 12 terabyte of HANA database running, supporting this point of sales, but they wanted to contain the growth. So the next step for them to add one more node, which will be a 16 terabyte of HANA. And they had some performance challenges at time to time, but they really wanted to contain because they have a lot of data that was not used anymore. And they were looking for a nearline storage where they could age the data. So at that point in time, customer approached us and they looked at the BigQuery as a nearline storage, the quickly accessible data, and also we can easily age the data into it. If any point in time, we can summarize and see it. While we were working on this project, we showed them the possibility of BigQuery, and that led us to bring a click data into that age data. And then also we brought additional data, the fleet data and some of the weather data also we brought it in and put that together. We further enrich the data and the data inside and showcase to the customer. Eventually what happened was the BigQuery the data warehouse became an integral part of the entire EDW system. Even though we started this project as a data aging mechanism, but eventually they realized the power and the value of BigQuery. And then they said, okay, this is going to be part of our EDW. They did not get rid of the HANA or anything. They continue to use it. They continue to realize the power of HANA, but they augmented that data and then have the additional insights through the BigQuery itself. For this project, as I said, it was our very first project that we worked. We worked with Google very closely, and we learned a lot of lessons from this project itself. So I want to kind of cover an architecture on this. Here's the architecture. Obviously, on the left side is the source system, and then HANA as a data warehouse on the cloud. And then we use the data hub for data movement. So we connected the data hub on the HANA and then set the data aging cycles on the data hub. And then we ingested the data into the BigQuery. It natively connects and it works really well. And obviously the data hub was able to do a good job on that. So if you look at the architecture on this, there's one piece is missing from our original design principle, the data staging layer, or the data store or the corporate memory is missing on our architecture. You know, if you look at the data hub and then it goes directly into BigQuery. The reason we did not put the data staging layer here, because if you look at our source system for the BigQuery, it's a HANA database, which in itself is an enterprise data warehouse, which was going and fetching the data from the source system and then hosting it. Because of that principle, we were able to drop this data staging layer. So once again, all these architectures that we are discussing here, they will change as the business, the requirement changes. And we don't want to implement a pre-built set of architecture saying, this is the architecture, let's fit your data models. Not really. We want to adapt the architecture as the data changes and the customer use case changes. So in this case, is a classic example where we dropped the data staging layer. We said, go directly into the BigQuery, because we can always go back to the source in this case. And then what we did is in the BigQuery, we transformed the data with additional data attributes like I talked about. And then this was mainly consumed by the advanced analytics team. So while we were exposing the data set to their data scientist team, not truly a data scientist, but they were looking at the data insights, they realized they were able to run these data sets and store that back into the BigQuery. And when they did that, the HANA team came back and asked us, can you expose the data back into the HANA? So what we did, we used the smart data access and exposed that back into the HANA. So the existing users who are already consuming the HANA data, they get additional data inside instead of they jumping onto the BigQuery side. So we did not interrupt that ecosystem. We kept it as it is. And we also helped them manage the data, the contain the data growth. And then we provide additional data insight back into the source, which is in this case, HANA data warehouse. And in fact, this was in 2019. This specific example and the specific scenario was a showcase fees at the Sapphire. A lot of customers came and saw that in play and how it works. And hopefully, Sharath will show you on his demo today. Now that we covered 3 use cases, the first use case, a customer with a very small data set and who did not want to have the full-fledged enterprise data warehouse. They were looking for a nimble, cost-effective data warehouse solution with the advanced capability. The second customer who had so much of data that they did not have data inside, as simple as a vendor spend analytics. They were looking for a platform that can scale and be agile and give them the data inside. And then the third customer who was looking for a data aging mechanism as a data store from a cost-effective perspective, they realized the value of BigQuery and then they consumed it. And so we showcased you 3. But I wanted to talk to you a little bit about pricing comparison and how some of our customers made decision, right? Please note these numbers and pricing can significantly vary. I don't want you to take these numbers and say, this is how it's going to cost you, Mr. Customer. Really, this is a reference point, and it truly reflects our customer use case and what we have seen, and it's our opinion. But it gives you a good insight in how we've been dealing with our customers. This is a sample information, and we also ask that you please do not consider this as a benchmark. This slides represent one of our customer pricing models, right? So I want to make sure that. So customer looked at the package solution. Obviously, they were familiar with that specific pre-built application or package. So they were leaning towards it, and then they called us in to see if there's any other option, right? So, but we happen to know that package solution really well, so we were able to give them insights in both of them, and we were truly indifferent. We really wanted to solve the customer use case, the challenge, as opposed to just pushing a specific technology to them, right? So here is a comparison at a high level. The package solution provider told them the licensing cost is at a high level is $500,000 one-time licensing cost. And then we looked at their requirements, and in fact, that the HR scenario, we looked at the requirement to implement on that package solution. It would cost them closer to $1 million. So altogether, initial cost, it's about 1.5 million, right? And then we looked at the running cost, about $85,000. It's just annual maintenance cost for the software vendor, and to run that application at a high level on an infrastructure, on a cloud-based infrastructure, it's about $25,000. And then the maintenance, no enhancement, just support and maintenance, day-to-day operation like a data loads and data, the bad data failure fixes and stuff like that. It's about $200,000, about 20% of the implementation cost. We just use that formula. So it's about $310,000 an operational cost on annually, with the implementation cost of $1.5 million for the package solution. On the BigQuery side, our tool that I talked about is about $50. Truly, that tool is not the technology that we market within KochaSoft. We really market the solution. So if you have if you're using Informatica or any other ETL tool, business object data services, that will fit into this data model, right? You just drop that $50,000 out. So for customers who did not have an ETL tool, this could be an option for us. So that's why we built that solution. It's about $50,000 to licensing cost, and truly speaking, pushing up $500,000 to implement that solution. Why is it cost effective from an implementation perspective? Going back to our design principle, our goal is to bring the data and then provide the data models that will enable the business to transform and consume as it is. So our initial implementation cost is very less. We are not pre-building these data models and data pockets or pockets of data for customers to consume in a fixed model. Rather, we are giving the data model that is flexible enough that anyone with the right data set understanding, they can consume it. That's why our implementation cost is low. And then on the maintenance cost, about $5,000 a year for the licensing of our tool, $48,000 to run the BigQuery. Honestly speaking, that $48,000 or for $48,000 also can be reduced if you work with Google and buy, they call it slots, I believe, buy additional slots, and you can do a cost containment, and also build a really good data models. If you have a good data models, you're not scanning all the data, because remember, $5 per terabyte scan, right? I just gave you the list price, $5 per terabyte scan. If you want to reduce the number of records scanned, then build the effective data models so that your queries are not scanning a bigger set of data to bring a summarized data. Rather, you're only going after small sets of data. So you can contain that if you really wanted to contain that. And then the maintenance support, we apply the 20% rule. Truly, it may not be 20% because all the business changes will be taken care of by your business team, not your IT team. So we apply the same rule. It's about $100,000. Even if you do, your annual maintenance is $153,000, and your initial cost is it's about a 50% discount in that price compared to the package solution. So from there, I just want to talk to you about the team. Very many of you might wonder, how is this enterprise data team will be made up of, right? So essentially, on the package solution, you need an architect, you need an infrastructure expert, because this is an infrastructure that you need to manage, and the functional expert, data modeler, ETL experts, and developers, security and visualization reporting. And on the BigQuery side, obviously you will need an architect, you will need a functional expert, you will need a data modeler, and some GCP developer, maybe security expert if you need security. And also if you are building some pre-built reports and visualization experts, but you don't need an infrastructure expert to manage and do the HA and all of that. There's nothing needed, because Google will manage all of it for you. And the operational perspective, you continue to have an infrastructure guy or team, a data modeler, developer, security expert, all of that. But on the operational side, some of it, like except the infrastructure expert. But operational side also, you can be more efficient on the BigQuery side on EDW if you empower your business users. The key is you want to educate your business users to consume this data. Obviously, you will have to build the business semantic, right? You build the business semantic models on the BigQuery, and then let the users build their own KPIs. Also, going back to, sometimes you might say, hey, you want a more structured report. That's a challenge most of you will face. Remember, in an S4 environment, we encourage them to use embedded analytics, which is a more structured environment. And P&L and balance sheets and things like that, you can get that out of your S4 environment through embedded analytics. Here, it's more data insight, data exploration. So you don't really need a large team of support team on the BigQuery side. I also have a sample project plan, how the project plan would look like for a EDW. In the interest of time, and Sarath need a demo time, but if you need that kind of information, please reach out to us after the call. I think Lawrence will share this information. We are open to work with our partners, the Google partners, or if you're not a Google partner, but you have a customer, you need support, we are open to work with you. If you are a customer, we are open to do any pilots or POC with you and showcase you the power of this product, our EDW. So with that, I'm going to hand over to Sharath for demo.
Hi everybody. So this is how it looks in the real world, right? So we'll talk about the profitability analysis dashboard. So it is built using the Google Data Studio. So this tool is free. Only we pay for the BigQuery processing cost, as we discussed. If we plan our model properly, that cost might not be much. So with this dashboard, if you work on the SAP area, right, we familiar with the SAP profitability called the COPA, and it gives various aspects of profitability, right? For example, the revenue, cost, profitability across the various segments. For example, customer, country, product group, etc. Right? So it provides the insight for company's profit and contribution margin. And as well as in this dashboard in general, it also provides us the planning accuracy. And this is very simple, but we can build as comprehensive as we want. That we'll see in the next sample dashboard. So here we can quickly see, right, for the sample data, we have it for 2 years. Our revenue is 49 million. Profit margin is like 14 million. We paid out like around $2 million in the sales commissions, and we gave the customer around $1.6 million of discount. So here, this speedometer shows the health of our profitability in terms of the gross margin, sales margin, and profit margin. So again, like in the COPA, there are like close to 150 components of the various cost, revenues, direct cost, indirect cost. So every company's definition could be different. So there is no hard definition of what goes inside. But for this company, it looks like this. So we can see that profit margin is 32%, is slightly above the threshold company setting for themselves to be healthy. And here we can see the another aspect of revenue. So this is like top revenue generating countries. So we can see US and Mexico are the top two countries for the revenue. And here we can see the top product and product group. So we can focus on the top products if you want to like leverage on the profit margin. And at the bottom, we are seeing like our top customer. So like top customers here we see is FCO Mexico, Toyota Canada, Ford, etc. So the interesting part is here is like doing the planning accuracy. So in this scenario, the actual revenue data is coming from SAP system, but they had a like third-party system for planning. So that planning data is coming from that systems, and we are integrating data from SAP and non-SAP system inside the BQ and presenting it over here. So we can see it like our planning accuracy is pretty good because our actual revenue and planning revenue like is pretty close. So that's kudos to the planning team. So since this dashboard was built by the power user, they did not put lots of things into this dashboard, but it still looks good. So they put the basic filter, right? So let's see how does the data look for year 2020. So I can filter over here. So let's see, I just want to see 2020. Okay. So now all data reflects only for the year 2020, right? So here looks like our profit margin has dropped below the threshold, 24%. Maybe I think maybe because of the COVID. Let's look at the some of the other filter, right? Let's see. I just want to look at the electronics products, right? So now all data is for year 2020 and the product group electronics. So our profit margin, everything looks the same as before for 2020, but looks like for this product group, we have sales only in the US and only customer is the Ford. So it just again is a sample data, but it shows like how we can interact with the data. And also we can also explore this data into the separate things. We can explore it, but maybe we can like that cover in the next webinar. So let's move on to the next dashboard. So again, like this is also like one of the dashboards we developed for our customer that was a global retailer, and this provides a set of comprehensive KPI for the retailer. So this is very big. Like you might not call it as a dashboard since we have a 5 pages and like tons of KPI, but this was used as a template. So power users and other users can copy it and keep whatever is useful for them, and they can use it. So just deal with like that one because we have a lot of data over here. So at the top, it shows our revenue over the geography. So we can easily visualize the data on the geography using the data studio. So here it shows like we have a lot of presence on the East Coast and the Midwest, but we don't have any presence on the West Coast. And let's go a little bit down. So again, everything is done in only Data Studio. We haven't done any custom things, just the plugin Data Studio to the BQ. So one of the important aspect for customer, they wanted to have a more online sales. So they were tracking the in-store versus online sales very closely. So they had a couple of KPIs to follow. So here it says they have around 10% presence online and they wanted to grow it more. So they were tracking how are they trending online and in store. So here it shows that this week we have almost doubled the sales online compared to the last week. But for this month, we are still like 40% behind the previous month. So we can put the various KPIs on this dashboard, and it shows here what are the product categories popular for the in-store and online. So that is very like generic, but like the important things, another things we did here, like we took the social media feed like the Twitter. So we took the Twitter feeds, we analyzed using the text analysis and found out the sentiments of the any feed, whether it could be neutral, positive, or negative, right? So here we seeing that there's a spike in the sentiments around the third week of June. So that was corresponding with the marketing campaign company ran. So that way companies see, okay, what is the effect of that marketing campaign on their social sentiment. Sometimes like some campaign can go like south, go very bad because of some issues or some kind of like negativity in the stuff. So that's very important tool for company to judge how effective was their campaign. So again, I saw this is a 5-page dashboard, just a template for them. So let me move on to the second page to see some more KPIs. Okay, so again here, right, we see what are the top 5 stores, what are the bottom 5 stores in terms of sales. Right? So company can focus if they want to improve the bottom sales. Another like KPIs are customer footfall, right? The number of unique customers in the store per day. So they can track like which stores like there are more customers or less customers. What are the top cashiers in terms of the number of checkouts they did and the amount of checkout dollar checkout they did. And certain more KPIs like on the top return product categories, top return stores, top return products, and what are the top reasons for the returning. So company can focus, is there any way they can reduce the return by eliminating those products or changing the product to some other product or something like changing some promotions at the store. So again, we have like more sets of, we can keep going because there are 5 pages to that, but I'll not let go. But against various sales background by the payment type, customer, department, etc. So we have like bunch of KPIs over here. For the essence of time, let's jump to the one important aspect I want to highlight. So here we use the machine learning for the customer to find the product category and the customer category to run the marketing campaign because they cannot simply run like wide open because they have thousands of product category and customer category. So they need to be very specific to be very effective on the campaign. So they need to find the right product category, products, and customer category. So they use the machine learning to figure out that. And also using the machine learning, they also found out the customer and the recommended product. So they can be go for the email marketing, like as we get sometimes, right? Very specifically targeted email. Hey, you might be interested in this product, or here there is some coupon for this product, right? So that is also generated using the machine learning language. So there are some more KPIs, and I think that's it, the demo of the thing. So we can see, right? We can quickly and easily visualize our data using the data studio. And beauty of that, it is totally free. We just pay for the BigQuery processing. So having said that, I'm moving back to the Lawrence.
Okay, great. Thank you, Shrad. Appreciate the demo. Okay, everybody. Well, that takes us pretty much through our lecture portion today. I did want to just open it up one last time for any questions. We did get a few questions, so I thank you for those. We have just a few minutes left. So is there anybody that has any questions that they'd like to present to the group? If you do, maybe you could just unmute yourself just because we have a few minutes left here.
Hey, Lawrence, this is Jeff Goss from Google. Just
Hey,
real quick,
Jeff,
if I
how are
could get
you?
a couple of comments. Good. Great presentation. I really liked it. A couple of things I wanted to add to it, if you guys don't mind.
Sure.
We're pushing Google Next on Air, and we're coming up. We're in week 3 right now. In 2 weeks, there's going to be data analytics. Everything will be focused on data analytics, and they will be talking about BigQuery. And then one other thing about this is real quick going over one of the things that we pride ourselves with is working cross cloud, and we're getting ready to push out. Actually, it's in its alpha private testing right now. BigQuery Omni is coming out, and it's something where you can use the Anthos clusters to be able to go cross cloud and be able to gather data without having to pull that data off of the other clouds. That data will remain within the cloud that it's originating from.
Okay,
Those are
great.
the 2 things that I had, and yeah, guys, great presentation. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you, Jeff. I appreciate that. That's Jeff from Google. So, as we mentioned, we do have some very close relationships with Google. We appreciate you, Jeff, jumping on there and giving us a little insight into some of the things coming in the not too distant future. So, thank you very much for that. Okay, so just to kind of wrap things up here, why KochaSoft? I'd just like to say, we have extensive experience in implementing, migrating, and supporting S4 and BW for HANA. Specifically, we have lots of experience in implementing embedded analytics on S4 HANA. For several of our customers, we have partnered with Google to implement SAP Analytics on the Google Cloud Platform using tools such as BigQuery, PubSub, Dataflow, etc. And our customers have been very pleased with the results there. So it's been a great partnership with Google, and I think we've come up with a lot of great solutions for customers out there. We're using an SAP certified tool to extract the data from these SAP systems for building these data warehouses and BigQuery. We also have predefined templates for ETL and visualizations across the major business functional areas. So together with our expertise with these different tools and templates, we can build an SAP data warehouse solution in Google Cloud Platform very quickly and very cost effectively. All right, so here's some information about us and contact information and how you can maybe reach out to us in the future if there's anything that we can do to be a help. You can see our LinkedIn profile here that'll get you to KochaSoft. From there, you could find myself or Aaron or Shrut, any of us up on LinkedIn. If there's any questions that come to mind, or again, any opportunities that you might want to reach out and maybe get a second opinion on, we'd be more than happy to work with you on that. You could also send any emails to contact@kochasoft.com. Any questions or comments, please go ahead and send there. And if you really need to, there's our phone number that you can reach out to us, and of course, our website. Okay, so thank you, everybody. Again, we really appreciate you taking your time. I know everybody's got busy schedules. I hope this was a use to you. I hope this maybe gave you some new insights and new things to think about when it comes to running SAP in the cloud, and particularly as you integrate that with different analytic solutions such as Google's BigQuery. Thank you so much. We really appreciate you attending today.